In 2024, the landscape of foldables in the US felt rather unremarkable, especially when compared to the more dynamic options available in Europe and China. The US was essentially offered the same old models from two key players, Samsung and Motorola. These brands, known for their flip phones, released updated versions of their foldables, the Samsung Galaxy Z Flip 6 and the Moto Razr Plus. Both devices were incremental improvements over their predecessors, each focusing on enhancing the user experience through software tweaks and hardware adjustments, like Motorola's larger 4-inch cover display. Yet, despite these advancements, something felt missing in the flip phone revival, particularly when it came to their appeal as small, portable devices. Flip phones, for many, represent the idea of a compact, convenient device that can easily slip into a pocket without taking up too much space. This was their charm in the early days, a characteristic that even the revival of foldable phones struggles to capture. The current iteration of flip phones, like the Z Flip 6 and Razr Plus, are designed with bigger, more interactive cover displays, but these seem to be missing the point of what made the original models so exciting. Instead of offering simplicity and basic functionality, the modern foldables seem to have turned their cover displays into miniature smartphones. This shift, while technologically impressive, could be undermining the very essence of what made flip phones so appealing to begin with. To understand this, we have to look back at the early versions of the Galaxy Z Flip and Moto Razr models. The first few releases of these foldable phones had ticker displays, which were basic and limited in function. These small, simple screens were designed to show you just the essentials, things like the time, weather, and notifications. They weren't meant for full-scale interactions, such as checking Instagram or scrolling through maps. At best, they were a way to glance at important information without having to open the phone entirely. In a way, they kept the experience of using a flip phone alive, offering users a more focused interaction with their devices. However, for some users, particularly those who tend to use their phones for everything from checking social media to navigating through apps, this minimalist approach wasn't enough. As noted by AP's Google editor Taylor Kearns, the early foldables left a lot to be desired. In a 4-month trial run with the Galaxy Z Flip 4, Kearns found that while the phone's design had its merits, the small, limited cover screen left much to be desired. Opening the phone one-handed wasn't exactly graceful, and the lack of a functional cover screen often meant that you had to open the device just to get a glimpse of a notification or interact with the phone. It was a far cry from the ease and convenience of simply pulling your phone out of your pocket, unlocking it, and using it with one hand while holding a cup of coffee in the other. Instead, the experience was awkward and cumbersome. Despite Kearns' criticisms, it's clear that there's a demographic of people who might prefer the simpler, more restrictive experience that early foldables offered. In fact, Kearns even noted that for some, like himself, the reduced functionality could be seen as a perk, helping them disconnect from the constant flood of notifications that smartphones tend to produce. This was especially appealing for someone like him, who was surrounded by smartphones in his daily life. For Kearns, the limited cover screen could help curb his compulsive smartphone use by forcing him to engage with his phone less frequently. This situation may sound counterproductive for those who want their devices to be as capable and functional as possible. But for a subset of users, like Kearns, the flip phone's less functional cover screen was a form of relief. It provided a buffer against the overwhelming connectivity of modern smartphones. While this might not be the primary concern for power users, it's an important consideration for people who need to take a step back from the constant barrage of digital distractions. It's not that these users want a featureless phone, they just need a way to tune out the noise. In that sense, I can relate to Kearns' thoughts on the matter. As someone who spends much of my time interacting with phones, testing out different devices, and managing multiple smartphones simultaneously, it's easy to feel overwhelmed by constant notifications, pings, and digital interruptions. In those moments, I often crave the simplicity that flip phones used to offer, a break from the overstimulation. The idea of using a flip phone with a more basic display, one that offers essential information without bombarding you with every notification, feels like a breath of fresh air. The challenge, then, lies in how to achieve this balance in modern foldables without sacrificing too much functionality. For Samsung and Motorola, there's a simple solution: software. Instead of overhauling their hardware, they could build a software-based version of the old-school ticker display. Imagine having the ability to toggle a setting from the quick settings menu that turns your flip phone into something a little less smart. This would allow users to limit the distractions and focus only on the basics. A phone that does just enough, but not too much. Think of it as a more minimalist mode, a feature that would allow users to still glance at notifications or see the time, but without the temptation to dive into apps like Instagram or Twitter. This approach could pair perfectly with Android's existing digital well-being initiative, which aims to help users disconnect from their devices and improve their mental health. It's already possible to limit screen time for apps, but having the option to reduce the functionality of your entire phone, at least when it's resting on the table, could be the next logical step in helping users better manage their smartphone habits. In this way, foldable phones could cater not only to those who want cutting-edge technology, but also to those who are looking for a way to take a step back and enjoy a more balanced relationship with their devices. Ultimately, it's clear that flip phones, in whatever form they take, are trying to find their place in a world dominated by smartphones that offer limitless functionality. Samsung and Motorola's efforts to create more functional cover screens are commendable, but they risk losing the very essence of what made the flip phone concept so appealing in the first place: simplicity and portability. The trick will be finding a way to offer both cutting-edge features and the ability to step away from the screen. If these companies can integrate a more distraction-free mode into their foldable phones, it could make the flip phone not just a nostalgic relic but a truly functional, modern device that fits into our complex digital lives.